Hi, I'm Adrian Kennard, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how our card printing service works. We'll start by going to the website cards.aa.net.uk. As you can see, we have an option to be a new customer or to log in. The reason we ask for an email address is so that we can email you a password and you can use this as your login to view and edit the cards later. You can create lots of different decks of cards on the system, so it's a good idea to make sure you've got your login details to come back to. We then get to choose a card that we're going to design. So we've actually got some start new designs here. So these are just basically starting points, a magstripe membership type card, an event type card, a full card image. This is where you've designed your cards somewhere else and want to load an image for each card. A sort of ID card. Now you'll see if I move the mouse over here, it shows this overlay layer, which is if the card has a sort of UV reflective layer. And we've got two blanks. We also have a number of standard cards like a Bank of Dad credit card, an Area 51 ID card. So there's lots of things going on here. And we're going to start by just creating a blank card to show how simple it is. And it wants the title of the card. And there you go. So the way the system works is you can create these decks of cards and they can be used for all sorts of things. They could be a single card that you want lots of. So it might be a card with your Wi-Fi details, for example. It could be a card design where you want lots of different cards, all different. And that's where this system really shines, for making ID cards. So whether it's something like a toy credit card, I mentioned the Area 51 ID card, or something more serious like a proper ID card, membership card. We have people doing things like housing association rent payment cards with barcodes on and things like this. So it's very flexible what you can do with this system, and it's very easy to order cards from us. But you need to start by making a design for your card. So let's see how easy that is. As you can see, there's this big message here giving you instructions at each stage. So we'll start by saying edit the design, and as you can see, it wants a field adding to the design. So we could start with something simple like a text field. It also suggests a good start would be a background image, but you don't have to. So let's just make a simple text field. We'll call it name, and it's put it on the bottom right there. I can zoom in here a bit just to show you a bit more what it's like. The images on the preview here are complete scalable vector graphics, so they let you see in meticulous detail what you're doing. There are a few common fields that you'll see. So the first thing is we've got what layer this is. We can have colour, black or UV layers on the front or back of the card. The card is built up in layers. So the first layer is the colour layer, then there's the black layer, which is just black, and then you can have this ultraviolet reflective layer on top, which is quite effective. So here's an example of what the UV layer looks like. You can just about make out that it says MIB and you saw nothing, Agent K, and various fun things. But there's obviously serious reasons why you might want this to make a card that's difficult to forge. So that's the layer. We then have the position, and mostly you would say the position is relative to the edge of the card. So currently it's 5mm from the left and 5mm from the bottom. But if we want this to say in the centre, we can say centre, 0mm, centre, 0mm. It's not actually centered because that's the starting point, but if I go down to alignment and say I want it centered, I have a name in the middle there. And I can do an example. So this is an ID card basically, so let's put an example name so we can see what that would look like. Okay, and there's lots of fonts here. Let's go for something nice like that. That's a nice font. Okay. Because it's the black layer, I've really only got a choice of black or not. The not is not very helpful there. Obviously, you're going to be putting names on each card, and some people have quite long names, so you need to cater for how you're going to deal with a really long name. So, Frederick Simon Bloggs Smithson Jr. Bit long. Had to contrive something to be a long name. So what I can do is I can actually set the width and say, let's say 75mm, draws a little box to show me the actual area here, and it squashed it. So if I put it just back to, say, just Fred Blogs, then it fits nicely. You can say you want it stretched, but that's rarely what you want. So it's quite flexible. That's just an ordinary input field, a text field. We'll save that. There you go. Shall we add another field? Let's just add job title. It's nice and simple. And we'll go for centre of the card. This time we'll say relative to the previous item, below it, 1mm, centered text. And I'm going to say I only want 4mm high and the same font. And we're going to say 75mm wide. And as you can see, I've now got a job title in a slightly smaller font, still restricted in width, nicely below it. And there's lots of things I can add. So there's input fields, text, photo, barcode, and magstripe. There's fixed fields, text, images, rectangles, just coloured rectangles, a whole background image. There's various fixed things like date, year, and so on. You can actually have a barcode that links to a V card that's downloaded with lots of details. So we'll come on to more of those later. Let's add something really simple. Let's add a fixed image, and we're going to upload an image, a logo, and we're going to say we want it on the right and at the top. Now it's 20mm wide and 20mm high, and that's not really very good for this logo because it's wider than it is high. So it's cropped it to the shortest dimension there. If I tell it actually I want it to be 0 height, that means work out the height from the logo, which it has, and maybe we'll go for a little bit wider than that. Let's go for 30mm. So we have a nice logo there. So that's a nice typical sort of business ID card just on white. You could load a background, that would be nice. What if I wanted to put a picture on this? Well, I can go in here. Let's just move this down a bit here, and so I've got some space for a picture. Let's say, as you can see, it's sort of instantly updating the preview for you there. I'm now going to add an input photo or image, and I'm going to tell it I want it at the top, and I'm going to tell it I want it 30mm, and I'm going to call it a photo. The system recognises photo and puts in a nice sort of dummy photo for you to give you an idea. So we've now got a name, a job, and a photo. Nice and simple. So we'll save that, and we go back, and it says you need to create an instance of your design. So let's add a new card, and it asks for those three things: name, job, and we'll pick a photo. And there we go. Not sure I like the square corners. I think I might go and edit that. So let's go back to the design and say input image. We'll go for 2mm rounded corners because I think that will look better. Now you can see here you've got the colour layer and the black layer. And we go in here and we say nice round corners. Looks good. Let's say we want a bit of high security. We want a UV field in here. So I'm going to say let's add another photo. But this time I'm going to call it photo still, which means I only have to put in the photo once. But I'm going to put it on the UV layer, and we're going to put it a bit further in and from the top. And you can't see it, can you? I'm going to say it's 30mm high. You still can't see it. The reason you can't see it is you put the mouse over there to see the UV layer, and look, there it is. Well, it might be worth looking at an actual example with a photo. So again, colour, black, UV, this is the order they're printed. You can change the order within each block. So if I wanted to put name below job, I could, but then this relative position of job from the previous field would go horribly wrong, so don't do that. You can see it's got UV, and there you go, high security. Maybe I want a barcode on there. Let's put a barcode on there. Let's have a barcode. I'm going to call this name so I don't have to type anything, and that means the content of the barcode will be the name, and I think we'll put it on the middle right. Actually, let's put it, there you go, and let's say it's a QR code. You've got a choice: data matrix QR code 39, ITF code 128, UPC with the digits below. You've got all sorts of choices there, so we'll go for a QR code. So there's a nice QR code on my card, which has the name in it. Really boring. But as you can see, colour, black and UV. And there's my card again. The X is up here in the UV layer because the machine prints a MAC address, so that shows you where it's going to print. And it's an ID card, so why don't we go in and add a slot for a clip? Bingo. So that's where a clip would appear, and there's no other information on the slot. Now, I might want double-sided. All you do for double-sided is you create one of these on side 2. What I could do is I could say I want a mag stripe, and I'm going to make the name appear in the name field of a mag stripe. It's not necessarily usually what you do. The system has realised you can't have a slot and a mag stripe, so it's put the slot vertically the other way round. So perhaps we won't bother with a mag stripe, but you can see where the mag stripe would be, and it's made it double-sided. The system will actually overlay all sorts of things. You can say, what would it look like with a sim? Well, a sim would block out that and would look really bad, so we'll not have that either. So you've got various overlays which will show you useful information. I mean, I might want something boring on the back, like some fixed text. A good example is some fixed text. So if we put some fixed text on the back in black, and we're going to say where we want it. I'm going to say what, I don't know, pick a font again. Right, you've actually got a block of text, you know. Let me just, right, oh, that's a bit big. Hang on, fixed text. We might want to go for a smaller font. Let's try. Well, actually, we can go for small. Two things we can do: go for a smaller font, or we can set the width. So if we set the width, it will scale to whatever's the widest. Okay, and you can see what it looks like there. You can put a whole block of text there quite easily. So that's the sort of thing you might want to put on the back of a card. And now it's double-sided, so you can see the front and the back. You can import with the CSV, where you import these fields. If I add another card, I haven't got another picture to put in. Actually, if I load that logo again, you'll see what happens if you try and load a picture that's a funny size. So have a look. There you go. It's cropped it to the size I've said. I could even go for a background. I don't really have much in the way of a background handy here, but let's try. Let's load a background image, colour at the back. Let's load some clouds. There you go. We've now got a background image on the colour layer there. So these have on side 2, they have a colour. So as you can see, it's really flexible. You can do designs with fixed text and fixed images and per card text and images and barcodes. You've got a lot of choice, and it will do things like UV layers and mag stripes, and it'll do slots for you know, a little clip and this sort of thing. It's really quite flexible. And at the end of the day, having got your list of cards, it's working out exactly what it costs you. We charge £5 plus VAT per order. So you can order one card if you want, £1 a card, but it goes up to an extra £1 for double-sided, an extra £1 for ultraviolet, an extra £1 for mag stripe. So it works out exactly what it is plus VAT, making a total, tells you exactly what it's going to cost. There's a link to our pricing stuff, and you basically click on there and our sales staff get in touch to sort out the billing, and we'll send the cards. If you've got an existing account set up and you're just ordering some more cards, which often happens, people who've got, we have a school that do their staff every year. And so they just order a new set of cards every year, and it's already set up, and we've got the account details, so they just click, and within a day or two they get a nice batch of cards in the post and an invoice. Really simple. So have fun.